fix your approach. The approach gotta be more guerrilla on it.
It's always been the youth, historically, that have made the greatest changes and that have pushed people, that have pushed us forward. The youth movement was, extremely instrumental in overcoming the apartheid regime in South Africa. It was the students that did that. And we've seen with this crisis in Darfur today, the genocide in Darfur today, it's groups like Students Taking Action Now for Darfur at STAND, in chapters in high schools and in colleges that have really taken the lead on all of this stuff. Adam Sterling, who was a UCLA student, has been the leading proponent on divestment around the world, in our country rather, and spearheaded a lot of that legislation that's now in front of a lot of states in the U.S. So it's always been the youth that have the energy, the drive, inspiration, the innovation, the ideas. Well, Skip Gates came to me and asked if I would be a part of this program where they were trying to do the genealogy of African Americans, different figures in entertainment, and I agreed to that. I didn't know anything about it, so I was surprised as well to see that both ancestry on both of my parents' side go back to Cameroon. So, I mean, I'm a real advocate. I think everyone, like I said, I think I'm very lucky being an actor. My job has allowed me to go to a lot of places around the globe and see a lot of things and take my children with me, and we've been to shanty towns in Africa and been to Paris. We've gone everywhere, and they've really gotten a true sense of the full diaspora of humanity, not just what goes on in America. And I think that's very important. It helps us to not be narrow-minded. It sort of dispels a lot of ignorance that you can have if you don't ever get beyond your four walls. And I think it would be very beneficial if everyone, after graduating from high school or graduating from college, had to do a year abroad in some service, someplace, before they came back to America. I think it deepens your game as far as understanding culturally the differences and similarities between us and the people around the world. And it also, I think, it helps to make us more citizens of the world, which we are, as we know that the world's getting smaller and smaller via the internet and television. We're able to touch each other in much greater ways and affect each other across the water. So I think it's important that we all engage in that kind of investigation. Well, I think right now, it's an interesting time right now. There are indictments that are before the International Criminal Court. They're before the judges that they have to decide if they're going to go forward in attempting to prosecute President Bashir and others under his administration for crimes against humanity and acts of genocide. And that's pending right now. There are some, I know that they've sort of petitioned the UN to try and get his name removed. The Sudanese government has done that just in the last couple of days. But there can be no addressing this without dealing with justice. So that's one of the things that has to happen, including protection of the people and punishment of the perpetrators. And the policy also has to be addressed. Those are the 3 P's that we talk about in our book: peacemaking, protection, and justice. I believe we have the potential to go in a very bad way. I believe we have a potential to pull ourselves out of this hole and start heading in the right direction. And I think if we really scrutinize what our policies have been around the world, what our policies have been to Americans here, and we're seeing how the middle class is vanishing, almost vanished. You're either somehow climbing your way to the top and becoming very rich. There are 400 billionaires now in this country, when I think 10 years ago there were 14. So it's going really good for somebody. But it ain't going really good for most people. And I think that has to be addressed, and it has to be addressed aggressively, and it has to be addressed honestly, and we have to look at it, as we're talking about with this this financial crisis we see ourselves in now, that it is reprehensible that you could destroy a company, bankrupt people's retirement that they have worked, some people 20, 30 years for their savings, and then get a present of $250 million when you leave, and get bailed out, and have the company bailed out. Then you are bailing them out. They're not calling each other and going, hey man, can I get that $2 billion back to pay off my thing? They're not calling each other. They're going, you guys can handle that, right? That has to be addressed. That will definitely affect your ability to have an education. That will affect your scholarships. That will affect everything. That will affect your ability to stay in your house. That will affect the car you can buy, the credit card you can pay off or not. All of these things from the bottom to the top, we're going to see a very strong hit on if we don't get on the right foot. I believe the right foot is Senator Barack Obama. I believe that he's not just hot air, that he wants to do what he says he wants to do. We already know what we got. We already know how we got here and what we got getting here. Let's go to something that we think is going to be different. Let's go to the thing that will, the inspiration is it may be nebulous and you can't get your hands on it, but it doesn't mean it's not real. Air you can't touch either, but it is real. Inspiration, change, that drive, that push, that's real. Let's take advantage of it. Well, I think now, especially with the youth movement, if all of the polls indicate what they seem to, that if the youth come out in numbers that they've indicated their preference, then this election will be a landslide. So it's very important to get the young people out. It's very important to let them know that they are a part of this process and that the decisions that are made, especially now in this administration, this coming administration, will directly affect them. Their ability to secure a good education, their abilities to get a job, their ability to buy a house. All of these things are on the table right now, as we see it demonstrated clearly this last week. So people have to avail themselves of this democratic process and let their voices be heard. But what happens from a community standpoint? What happens from an individual standpoint? Though that needs to be supported, and it needs to be supported by programs that give people opportunities to do things and be involved and not just stand around the street corner with nothing to do. Education has to be addressed. No child left behind has to be completely restructured, in my opinion. These are all policies that I believe Senator Obama will strengthen and will make relevant to all of us. And it also has to come from the individuals inside the community. I don't believe that you can, on one hand, talk about fathers need to do more, black fathers need to do more by their families, and not also piggyback that with, and the institutions need to do more by the people in the community. Both of those things need to happen in concert, and I believe that that's where we will be hopefully headed with Senator Obama. But it really starts, that sort of networking, I believe, really starts with individuals who have the passion to do it. It's like, who will do the hard things? It's like those who will and those who can. And when you have that kind of passion that you clearly have, and you're putting it to use, I think Americans and probably human beings, period, want to see things happen fast. And if we don't see something immediate, we tend to believe that it's not happening. But all of these ills, all of these situations that you're talking about didn't happen overnight, and they're not going to be entangled overnight. So just because you don't see an immediate change doesn't mean that change is not actually in process. So you really have to not give up not give up hope, not give up the faith. Have to push toward what we know is right, and celebrate the small goals. Celebrate the okay, he actually went to work today. You know what I mean? It's like,
your approach gotta be more guerrilla on